the size, your style, and where to spend your money. They're all important factors to consider when renovating your outdoor living space. And Scott Scherschel from Interior Spaces Incorporated is taking us to 3 gardens that will have you blooming with helpful ideas.
This wonderful back porch leads us right up to what I like to call the backdrop garden. As opposed to being one where you spend a lot of time out in it, although you can, there's a couple of seating areas, but most of the time this is viewed from their wonderful back porch. It's the whole length of the house. The garden really just became sort of a still life.
At the center of it all is a brick fountain which replaced a tree.
You know, it was kind of a leap of faith to get them to realize, hey, this is something we should do. But once they did, they saw the potential that everything could wrap around that. They have a Mediterranean style home, so brick was a real obvious choice. They did some of this brickwork themselves, and it has a real rustic feel, which again is really appropriate.
Brick is carried into the pathways that lead to various seating areas. A pergola is an inexpensive way to create a room-like area with a dramatic effect.
Plant something on it and really give it some shade, or you can just leave it blank. But the fact that you've put a little roof and some posts makes it like a room.
Looking around, I can tell that this backyard doesn't take a ton of maintenance.
That's true. A little bit of trimming. We're looking at 3 different properties today and 3 varying degrees of how much time is going to have to be spent in them. This is probably one of the lowest of all. Little bitty spit of grass here for the dogs to do their business on, but otherwise this is really pretty simple.
Inspired by a European park, the next garden requires more maintenance, but it was designed that way.
When we're interviewing a client initially to get ideas of what they want to do in their garden, that's one of the major questions, is how much maintenance do you want to put into it? Are you going to do that maintenance yourself, or are you going to hire a company to do it? All of those are really important to the design and the plants themselves.
And your overall budget. While Scott took advantage of some of the property's existing trees and greenery, placing the rest of the plants at different levels was key to the design.
I like that layer in front of trees, drop down into another elevation.
And those elevation changes create privacy and separation for the garden's various rooms.
And because our house is small, it actually adds space to the house, livable space, by having the rooms outside.
Throughout the yard, Scott added personal touches by placing water features and even this unique sculpture.
I don't think there are any limits to bringing, garden decorative pieces into a garden. What we do is just kind of scour the garden centers, particularly like the little tucked away ones where you'll find little magical things. It just takes a little time, but that's the fun part.
One more trick? Hanging a trellis dressed in flowers along the side of a house adds instant appeal.
I wouldn't really recommend, particularly if you have a wood house, a vine that attaches to the house, but this just trails through it. It just kind of gives your whole house a cottage effect. So Lindsay, now we're going to take a look at what I think is like a miniature version of the property that we just saw.
Okay, yes, I can see it.
Even though it's a much smaller space, we've still managed to separate it into areas so that we get a dining place, a couple of intimate seating areas. Even in a very small garden, almost about the size of a courtyard, you can really put it to good use.
Including elevation changes and even a miniature water feature.
Part of the garden, they were able to plant trees that would give them some shielding from the neighbors. But in this area, because of a big oak tree and the roots, they really didn't have the opportunity to do that. So by putting a trellis that can be a little higher than the fence behind it, a little bit away from the fence, and growing some vine up on it, you again just create that nice masking.
They passed on the grass, opting for jasmine, which is a low-maintenance ground cover.
Now on the trellis is the Confederate Jasmine, and in the spring that blooms, and the smell is just absolutely wonderful.
Cut back on lighting costs by using strings of light which transport you to another place.
I think they're great in a setting like this. They give you a little bit of a European market feel, or a kind of outdoor restaurant.
Yeah. Overall here, the biggest bang for their buck would be?
Starting with that fountain there, because that gives you a focal element. But then everything else is fairly inexpensive. Again, the brickwork you can do yourself. A lot of people can install a deck and then just kind of start planting around it.
And low maintenance plants as well.
Exactly, low maintenance. This is a very low maintenance garden.
Do you think they'd let me live here?
I don't know, let's see.
You have the hookup, you have the connection.
I'll see what I can do
Make
for
it
you.
happen.